Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand in strong support of House Bill 934, and I ask my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to concur. When I first signed on to this bill, I must admit that I was somewhat lukewarm. I thought it was something that should be certainly pursued, or I would not have signed on. But as we went through the process, as we had the many informational meetings, as we had the hearing, I realized how important and how necessary this legislation is. Mr. Speaker, we can talk and we can say that there have been few people prosecuted. I don't know exactly what a few is, but what about the people who maybe were identified as violating the law, but they weren't prosecuted? And what about all the ones that we don't know about, possibly because this wasn't law? So let's be honest about this. We really don't know how many people are voting that shouldn't be voting. We really don't know that. Mr. Speaker, I think that we're selling our people short, particularly our senior citizens. The senior citizens that I represent don't want their votes to be canceled out because somebody that is voting should not be voting. Mr. Speaker, we need to stop the impersonation at the polls, the fictitious registrations, the double voting, and voting by illegal aliens. Mr. Speaker, no one is trying to stop anyone from voting that shouldn't be voting. This is good legislation. It's reasonable, it's transparent, and it's common sense. That's what it is. One of the speakers, the gentleman from Philadelphia, I believe it was, said that he was going to do everything that he had to do to make sure that every person in his district that was eligible to vote is going to vote. Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Speaker. I am going to do something too. In an article that appeared in the Pottsville Republican back in May, when I responded to an inquiry on this legislation, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that that small percentage of 0.8%, and that's what it is, we're talking about 0.8% of my constituents, I have reached out to them. I have told them that my legislative office will help them with whatever paperwork they need to make sure that they can get that ID that they can use when they go to vote. And then I'm going to make sure that they get a ride to the photo center. If I don't take them myself, one of my volunteers will. Or don't you think, those of you who are Lions and Rotarians, don't you think that would be a great project? So let's stop the negativity. This is necessary legislation. No one wants to disenfranchise anyone from voting. No one wants to do anything. We all want to be certain that each and every eligible voter has the opportunity to vote. But the people that shouldn't be voting, we don't want them voting, and they shouldn't be voting. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for your time. And again, I would ask that you would support House Bill 934 and concur. Thank you.